The Celtics Talk podcast is presented by 24autogroup.com, 11 locations across New England.
What's up, everybody? 1:23 a.m. Doing this post-game pod right after the final buzzer because, this game took a little bit longer than we thought, and it was already a ridiculously late start. But the Celtics outlast the Los Angeles Clippers 117-113 in overtime in what shall forever be called the Jaden Springer game. Celtics, just an impossible way of making things more difficult than it needs to be. Fumble away a late fourth quarter lead, which, Jaden Springer did enough in the first four quarters, even though he was like a second half sub, to get them to the finish line. And yet the Celtics couldn't get out of their own way. Bunch of sloppy play. It's just almost impossible that they were this bad, considering like they clearly did not learn from the Atlanta game against a super shorthanded LA Clippers team. And yet Springer knocks down his second three-pointer of the night in overtime and helps the Celtics stiff arm a feisty Clippers squad to get the victory. I feel bad because Jaden Springer, like the only reason his name has come up this season has been when we talk about potential trade candidates. A lot has been made about how Celtics are paying him $4 million this year, and he has not played a whole lot of minutes. And here on a night where the Celtics are playing without Kristaps Porzingis, Al Horford, and Drew Holiday, Joe's kind of hunting for someone to eat some minutes and give them a spark. First quarter, he goes with Jordan Walsh and Baylor Shireman, who's with the team on this trip, and then comes back in the second half and goes with Springer, in part because the Celtics were so desperate for anyone who could bring a little bit of defensive intensity on the floor. And what does Springer do? He comes up with 4 steals. And so, credit to this kid. Like, it would be easy to have, like, sort of checked out, to be worried about, his future in advance of the trade deadline, to get a little bit frustrated with the fact that his shot hasn't always fallen. And even at the start of this game, or the second half of this game, got a couple open looks and just wouldn't go. But in the two of the bigger moments in the fourth quarter and overtime, he knocks down the three. Might have been both off of kicks from Jason Tatum. And, look, this could open a door for the way he played defense, the energy he brings to the floor. Obviously he's going to have to show he can knock down shots consistently. And when the Celtics are healthy, there's barely enough time for Sam Hauser to get big minutes. So it's going to be tough. But what a night for Springer. Ends up playing over 20 minutes with the help from being out there for most of the overtime session. 8 points, 2 of 6 shooting, 2 big threes, 4 steals, 2017. I marvel at someone who we always joke about the Celtics being in the stay ready group, and the stay ready group was certainly that a couple years ago, but those guys were still, there was guys in that mix that were playing pretty consistently. Springer has been sort of waiting and taking scraps of what's available and playing trash time minutes in lopsided wins, but hasn't really got an opportunity with the main crew to show what he can do. And he was ready on a night where the Celtics were desperately needed someone who was engaged and locked in. He helps get them to the finish line. Even Neemias Queta got the sort of the I won't even call it a dagger basket, but the last second layup as the Clippers were making one last feverish charge. The Celtics have now won 2 straight games for the first times since January 3rd, the other start of the road trip where they won up in Minnesota, then went down to Houston. So something about these road trips continues to bring out, I won't say the best in the Celtics, but they went 3-1 on that trip, and now they're 2-0 to start this one. So a good job for the Celtics team that has been very good away from TD Garden for where they can't quite put it together. Again, the Celtics were not supremely crisp in this game. Let me just read off the players that were not on the court for the Clippers tonight. Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Norm Powell, Chris Dunn, Zubac, Nick Batum, PJ Tucker. You could make a case that you could put a pretty good 5-on-5 game together if you put all those guys plus Horford, Porzingis, and Holiday. That might have been a better game than what we saw tonight, even with all those guys, whether they're injured or ill or whatever. But the Celtics still had the Jays. They still had Derek White, and all three of those guys ended up going for 20-plus points. But each had their maddening moments. Tatum was a little sloppy with the basketball early. Jaylen got trapped pretty hard late and committed some tough turnovers. Some were, I won't put all on him. He got put in some tough spots as the Celtics struggled with late game clock management and salting away games yet again. But the bottom line is they do enough. Derek White, again, I'm tempering everything here, didn't fully break out of his slump, but he did get to 20 points, had a bunch of big threes. I think he had 10 in the fourth quarter, and all in the first 6 minutes, I believe, and just really kind of kept the Celtics afloat, and really felt like the Celtics were going to run away with this thing. But again, things get super interesting in the final, like essentially 30 seconds. 30 seconds to go in the fourth quarter, Springer hits the three. They're up 99-93, 6 points with, 3:02 to go. And then things get interesting down the stretch there. So, man, Celtics don't even get off a shot there at the end of regulation. They swarm Tatum. He tries to give it up, and I don't even think the final box ended up crediting them with a shot. I will say, as much as I Springer deserves the credit, everybody else did enough to get him to the finish line here. Clippers deserve a ton of credit. They throw out there a kind of a scattered lineup, but Derek Jones Jr. goes for a career high, 29 points. Kevin Porter Jr., 26. Amir Coffey, 24. Three guys with 20 plus, and man, trying to process this all at 1:30 in the morning, and my head is spinning. So I go back to it. It's really neat for a Celtics team that hasn't had a lot of games where there's been that sort of unsung hero. Peyton Pritchard has been great, but we've just come to expect him to bring it on a night-to-night basis. Sam Hauser actually kind of carried the offense here early. Hit 5 threes, 15 points. Sort of felt like he was steamrolling towards being the unsung hero. But it was Springer that really kind of, when the Celtics needed a couple stops, and, I mean, Porter Jr. would try to drive, and he would just lock him up and steal the ball and go the other way. Celtics did not need to get this game to overtime. They did not need to complicate their lives, and that's still an issue, and that's still something we got to monitor going forward. I'm sure there will be some angst about the officiating. Joe Mazzulla was kind of calling for a timeout on one of the plays that ended up in a turnover. Again, the multiple instances where the Celtics could have made their lives easier and made this podcast maybe a little bit cheerier. But bottom line was another shorthanded team that Celtics, man, that is their kryptonite lately, is when the other team is missing somebody. I don't know if it's mental of a downshift. I don't know if it's just the other team gets a little juice. But the Celtics got to figure that out. Like, why is it when superstars are on the other side or are not on the court, is that the toughest games of the year for this Boston team? Again, give a lot of credit to LA. They made shots. They had some painful lulls in there, but they still found a way to just kind of hang around and make this a game. But the bottom line is the Celtics get the win. First winning streak in a couple weeks. And there's not a lot of downtime because they got to turn around and go right back to work across town over at the I almost called it the Staples Center, Crypto Center against LeBron and AD and the Lakers in a little bit of a rivalry game on Thursday night. We'll get there in a minute. But yeah, just shout out Jaden Springer. Really deserves his flowers tonight for being ready, for knocking down the last three he hit. The entire Clipper bench was chirping at him. James Harden, All those guys were giving him some grief as he got the corner look. Celtics got some stuff to tighten up, but a lot easier to talk about that when they get the win than if they had fumbled another one away. All right, let's get to more of our post-game show.
The award-winning 24 Auto Group is the easy choice for your next car, truck, or SUV. 11 locations and over 2,000 new and pre-owned vehicles in stock.
Shop the brands you know and love, backed by savings and service you can count on. Plus, buy 3 and get 1 free for all tire purchases, with 11 convenient locations across the South Shore of Massachusetts.
24 has the knack to save you more. Visit us in store or online at 24autogroup.com.
Jaden Springer, 20 minutes in this game, playing some big minutes down the stretch. His defense kind of getting things going, also knocking down that clutch 3 right there. Celtics able to hang on. We're going to relive the fourth quarter, all of it in just a bit, but I'll start with your thoughts on the Celtics able to eke this one out.
Oh, man, I'm glad we got the win because it got a little funky there at the end. The one thing I would say that the Clippers, they fought. They didn't give up, and they're double teaming, they're trapping. Kind of bothered us, you know. It not kind of bothered us. It really bothered us, and you could tell that we weren't prepared for it. We weren't prepared for them to play that way. I think because Jaden Springer was out there, he was the guy that they were leaving, and so you're not used to getting double teamed off of every pass almost. And so I don't think we handled that well at the end of the fourth quarter or into overtime. You know, we knocked down those shots in overtime. We turned the ball over 14 times in the second half, you know, and it ended up with 19 turnovers. That was alarming, but at the same time, you still get a win. You walk out with the W. You look at that, and Jaden Springer, he should get 2 Tommy Awards because, I mean, not only did he change the pace of the game, you know, his pickup points, his steals, just his activity, and then hitting the big 3. So he definitely deserves 2 Tommy Awards. Excuse me.
And he got the player of the game, as you saw there at the end as well. But the Celtics, keep it in mind, too, they were down 6 early in the fourth quarter. The Clippers able to kind of find their way and take a 6-point lead early in the fourth, and then the Celtics go on a 13-0 run. In that 13-0 run, Eddie, the Clippers went 6.5 minutes without scoring.
Yeah, I think it started around the 10-minute mark, and it was with the defense. You know, we were getting deflections, we were getting steals, we were getting out in transition, making the right play. We were playing comfortable, and that's the thing that they did later in that fourth quarter. They didn't allow us to play so comfortable because they were trapping and things like that, but we were causing confusion offensively. They don't know if they're switching, they don't know if they're going under, they don't know if they're going over, and we took advantage of their defense in that run.
And meanwhile, going down the stretch, again, the Celtics were up by 6, but you got the offensive foul here on Jaylen Brown, so this gives the Clippers some life as it was a 4-point game at that point. And you get Amir Coffey getting by Nimi Keita, and he lays it up and in. That made it a 2-point game. And again, this was part of a 6-0 run by the Clippers in the final minute to force the overtime. Jaylen Brown, again, there's the trap you're talking about. That leads to the turnover, which is a live ball turnover for Derrick Jones Jr., who had 29 points in this one, including those 2 right there. That tied it, and the Celtics did have a chance. 4.2 seconds on the clock. Inbounded to Jason Tatum.
Another double team.
And Derek White, no space to get anything off there either. So it was tied up 103 apiece, and that's when this thing went to overtime. But these late game situations, because we saw this as well, going back to the Atlanta Hawks game, where Celtics having some trouble taking care of the basketball in those late game situations, and it cost them. And that one tonight, they were able to survive.
Yeah, they were. But this is different from that Atlanta game because what the Clippers were doing, at times they were showing like they were stunned, and then they would attack. And I don't think we were prepared for them to show that type of defense. For the most part, think about it. We've sit here and watched all the games, right? And we've never really seen a team double everybody because they were doubling everybody. Even on that last play, Derek White got doubled. He was able to split the double team to make the pass to Keita for the layup, and it still was 2 on Keita when he caught it. So it was like they were doubling wherever the ball was at, and I think that was like a point of emphasis and definitely something that Ty Lue was like, hey, this is what we have to do. We got to try to speed them up and put them on their heels, and they did a good job of that. But we were able to find a way to win, and also that's good, you know, because you learn from a win. You don't always have to learn from a loss. And so we could learn from this and say, okay, this is how they're going to, if teams do this, this is what we have. This is how we can combat that.
Let's hear from, of course, who would Abby Jim be standing by with right now at the Intuit Dome but Jaden Springer.
Jaden, Joe didn't call your number until about halfway through the third quarter, but once he put you in,
yes, sir.
He couldn't take you out. I saw Sam coaching you up right before you stepped on the floor. What was the assignment? What was your approach?
Man, go in there and make a difference. Go out there, play defense, play hard. That's what they told me to do. My teammates trusted in me all night. They were cheering me on, so shout out to them for having my back the whole time.
Certainly played defense with those 4 steals, but you also hit some clutch threes. What did that one feel like in overtime?
It felt great. JT trusted me, swing the ball, knocked it down. Everybody went crazy, man. It was a great feeling, just had my team support me. Joe trusted in me. It felt good.
How were you guys able to regain your composure coming into overtime?
We've been in this situation before. We know we got to stick together, stick to what we know, play winning basketball. I feel like that's what we did. Went out there and competed and trusted in our work.
Finally, Jaden, how gratifying is it after all of the hard work that you put in to know that you're able to come out and do this when your name is called?
I mean, it's great. This is what we work for every day. You're around the team, so I know you see it day in and day out. This is what we work on. The staff does a great job with everybody, so they keep us prepared and ready when our time is called like tonight.
Jaden, congratulations. I hope you get to celebrate.
Appreciate you.
All right, 20 minutes, 8 points, 4 steals for Jaden Springer. We got Drew and Scal standing by at the Intuit Dome where they witnessed the Jaden Springer game. What's going on, Drew?
Yeah, the Jaden Springer game, Tommy. I like that. I got to fix my hair. It looks like I'm up late at night because I am. It's even late out here. So shout out to y'all for being up on the East Coast and watching this. All right, Scal. So let's start with Jaden Springer because
we should start and end with Jaden Springer.
Yeah, sure. How many times have we talked about Peyton Pritchard coming in off the bench and sparking the Celtics? But he does that with offense usually.
Sure.
Jaden Springer came in and did it with defense tonight.
And we were getting destroyed by Kevin Porter Jr. And so for us, there's no other way to win this game to eventually get stops. And his defense was on another level. They couldn't even screen him. Forget the steals. Like, the guy just would not be screened. And everywhere he went, he made a big-time impact. And he knocked down some shots, which they were leaving him open.
I mean, give the Clippers a lot of credit. Like, these guys came in, and it was Porter, and it was Jones, and it was Coffey. These are pros, and they're proud. They came in and played really well. Jaden Springer came in and just snuffed it out. I mean, he really is a weapon defensively, and we have not seen him deployed a ton, aside from, end-of-game scenarios, offense, defense, substitutions. Joe threw him out there, and he didn't kill you on offense. Obviously, he made that huge three. And defensively, he totally turned the tide of this game.
Yeah, I mean, we were getting cracked off the dribble all throughout the third quarter. And, without Drew Holiday, and usually we don't call on Jaden Springer because we have guys that can guard. But for whatever reason, we were disinterested in guarding today. And he came in, and you could tell, early on he got a couple fouls, just like trying to be overly aggressive. And then he settled in, and that's where the game changed for us.
Now, Scal, I mean, with all that being said, are you disappointed that this game had to go to overtime? Not because of the time or anything, but because of the Clippers having a lot of guys out.
No. I don't look at it like that. I look at it like poorly executed down the stretch. What are we doing? What are we doing down the stretch of games? So
I'm talking about throwing it into the corner.
No, just the whole execution down the stretch. I don't understand. And maybe I'm a prisoner of the moment. Just like, you see it and I'm reacting on what happened, but it just didn't seem like that is a great way for us to have success in this situation. Time and score.
And how were you guys able to regain your composure at the start of overtime?
Just coming out playing basketball. That was pretty much it.
When you found out they were missing or their big star players were not going to play, what were you thinking, and why did it become such a tough game for you with them missing all those key players?
It's the NBA. They play well. They hit a lot of shots, and they play. Tip our hat off to them. I thought they played really well. But we just came out and just wanted to play basketball, be aggressive, make the right plays, and stuff like that. And I thought the Clippers played well though tonight.
Joe, how do you kind of become more poised and better in the fourth quarter and had some blunders in the last couple of games? How do you kind of improve that?
take accountability, look at the film and stuff like that, and just learn from our experiences. We had some turnovers late in the fourth quarter. It was, I guess some different coverages kind of the Clippers were throwing at us, but they did a good job of trapping us in the corners and stuff, and they made the game closer than it probably should have been. But we just gotta be better.
Jaylen, how have you and the group tried to manage the grind of this season as well as absorbing everyone's best shot after coming off the championship?
It's a mental challenge, but it's a physical one too. Just trying to be available each and every night. Through the physicality, through injuries and stuff like that, and just try to put your best foot forward. But it's a challenge, and we just got to continue to choose to meet that challenge every day.
Jaylen, you have a lot of prospects, that look up to you, and every single night, bro, you come out here and guard the best players during an era where a lot of people don't do that. What can you say to the youth in terms of guarding the best and helping themselves develop and bringing it down to here and to the NBA and bringing it every single night?
I would say, that's the type of basketball that adds to winning. I think being able to, have an effect on both ends of the floor, and to be able to do that night in and night out takes a toll on your body that people don't really, look into or respect. But that's real basketball. Those are real basketball players, and we don't necessarily give them the credit. We don't look at the game like that. It's more about offense, but guys that can affect the game on both ends, helps those teams win.
Hey Jay, I talked to KD about Netflix Starting Five, and he mentioned how he wants to show people the pros and cons of this lifestyle. What do you want to show people during this time?
I think what Katie is saying is something that's true for me as well, but also, show just the personal side of of my life a little bit, and get to see some of the things that I'm involved in, and give people more of an inside look on what it's like being me.
What is something that you wish that people knew more about you?
What is something? I think people be sleep. I'm a lot funnier than people give me credit for. They think because I never smile or whatever when I'm talking to the media. They think that I'm just serious all the time, but no, I'm a lot funnier than people give me credit for.
Yeah, what was your first impressions of this arena after playing in it for the first time?
It was nice. They definitely spent some money, for sure. It was loud. The way they built it, the structure of it, it's more on top of you, and I think that has a lot to do with the sound engineering, because there wasn't that many people in there, but it sounded like it was. So I'm not sure, if that was a part of the design, but it was fun. It was a fun place to play, and I'm happy we got the win.
How are you doing physically at this point in the season with the ankle there?
I'm just pushing through. I think this is definitely the rougher part physically during the season. I've had some injuries and things like that, but I try to make myself available every night. I'll make no excuses, but it is what it is, but I'm a little beat up, but we'll be ready. I'll be ready tomorrow.
All right, before we look ahead, there was one other thing on my notes that I didn't get to. Derek White got a technical foul near the end of this game. It was his first career technical in 533 games. Luckily, it did not. If it had cost the Celtics this win, it certainly contributed to this game getting to overtime. That would have been a bigger deal, but the mild-mannered Derek White finding a way to aid the comeback of the Clippers late, and man, that the final sequence. There were some wacky games around the association tonight. I mean, the Cleveland-Houston Rockets game was just absolutely crazy final minute, and the final minute of regulation on this one was a doozy as well, and even the final minute of overtime when the Clippers nearly made it interesting again. All right, let's spin it ahead. If you're listening to this on Thursday morning, probably be glad you went to bed. Just wake up, take the win, start thinking ahead. All-Star starters will be announced at 7 o'clock, 7:30ish, I think, on Thursday night. Jason Tatum should potentially get a nod. for the game in San Francisco. He was, I think, among the top 3 in the forwards in the East for fan voting, and you would suspect that combined with player and media voting, he should probably get that nod, and maybe he'll have a little extra motivation going out there against the Lakers. So Lakers, it's funny how they showed LeBron James in the crowd at the National College Football Championship in Atlanta on Monday night. And I was like, man, I wonder when the Lakers play next. And turns out they had a game on Tuesday night, albeit against the Wizards. And I said, I don't know how that's going to go for LeBron, watching Ohio State win a national title, then flying all the way across the country. He put up a triple-double at age 52. And, the Lakers, they're 6th in the West. I don't know what they're going to do at the deadline, if there's any way to improve that roster, but the bottom line is that when the Celtics and Lakers get together, it matters. It's the rivalry, and we'll unlike last year where when the Lakers came here, they didn't have LeBron, didn't have AD, and they still found a way to beat the Celtics. I think we're almost rooting for them to have LeBron and AD on the court for this one. We'll see if the Celtics are going to get some guys that played some big minutes tonight. Maybe you get back someone in that group. I mean, Kristaps was ruled out with illness, and he was sitting on the bench, which usually doesn't happen. So maybe it's just their way of getting him through to be a late scratch there. Al Horford had that big toe that just will not heal. You would suspect he would play on the second night of a back-to-back after sitting on the front half. And same thing with Drew Holiday. Likely the Celtics downshifted their veterans and bring them back against the Lakers, try to keep this winning streak going. Hopefully, for the sake of my heart and for the heart everybody else in Celtic Nation who kind of rides the roller coaster of these Celtics, hopefully they make it slightly easier than it's been lately, and especially tonight. We'll be right back here with you at another ungodly hour of 1 a.m. pod tomorrow night. So go subscribe, go check us out on the YouTube page. I'm going to go try to process this one, but again, shout out to Jaden Springer. What a night. We'll catch you tomorrow night or tonight or whatever it is on the Celtics Talk podcast.